the way they read the Ramban is a simple way of reading it. And that's why there's a simple way they have kashas on it. But that forces us to reread the Ramban in another way in order to defend him. And that's what we want to do today. So when I was a younger boy, I wrote in my book the few options which I gave those days answers to answer the Ramban, to protect him. And I spoke a lot with my Rebbe about it, Rabbi Hirsch, in those days. And some of what I said he agreed, some he didn't. And I wrote what he agreed or he didn't agree. Years passed by. And what I wrote down, he said, wasn't so stupid. I was pretty well versed. So I want to say those options, let's check them out. It really makes sense or not. I also, with a very big happiness, I got here a piece of paper of Rebel. What he wrote, he found Iran. The answer, the choice kasha, he found Iran. And on the Shamishpot's kasha, he also gives an answer. Okay? Those are local point answers questions, but we added another 2 kashas, which other Chonim add. From Goydoy, so I need 3 years, 80 to 3 years, 2 other questions. So that forced us to say a new pshatim in the Ramban. Those kashas that you give answers, that's 1 out of 4 kashas, 2 out of 4. There's another 2 kashas, which in my book I try to give answers. But so many questions leads me to think maybe the pshat in the Ramban, in order to protect it, maybe the pshat is different. So we may dive the words, because the word says lechud, says it's not losing the star alone. Also shtikin, it says it doesn't use the language of raya. There's a lot of languages in the Ramban which need to be polished and be exact to fix them. There's few other Rambans. And Daf Lamed Vov. There's 5 Rambans here. If we go over through all of them, there's one Ramban that used the language of the Klas Chacham himself, even though he is Mashma Sarai Doraisa. So what exactly works? How does it work? To combine everything together needs a lot of work. Remember when I was a young boy, young yeshiva bocher, I knocked on my Rebbe's door at least 20 times. He lived next to yeshiva, and bothered him talking about those 5 Rambans back. I think maybe I remember one time I made a cheshbon, it was maybe 8 hours of just talking over what really the Ramban means. So I spent a lot of time on my Rebbe on that. It's not a simple thing, but so many rabbis through the generations try to figure out what really the Ramban is saying. So we need to give a solution. There's a lot of problems. What exactly, to be comfortable, to feel what is the truth, what is the best out of all the options, what is the best option, the best solution of all. This is what I want to do today. Yes. Fit in the words and defend. Fits in the words and defend. So this is where I go. Okay? So we'll start with the Ktsois and the Shara Mishpot, how they understand. Represent the questions. Represents option of answers. Siyata Dishmaya. Then we're going to add another 2 more questions, which we always spoke during the week. And then I'm going to read in my book the 2 other options, which I reread the Ramban in different ways. Okay? This is what I want to do today. Another way to understand what the Ramban is really saying. So first, we're going to use the traditional way, the way the Ktsois and Shara Mishpot learning. Add some kashas on them, say few terutzim. But there's 4 kashas. We have to answer all 4 kashas, okay? But that one is. So let's start with the Ktsos HaKoshen. Ktsos HaKoshen, Shimon Kuf Mem, Sifkot and Beis. The Ktsos HaKoshen has a kasha. I'm reading in the Ktos HaChoshen, on the left column, the last paragraph, goes 2, 4, 6, 7 lines on the left column on the last paragraph. The paragraph starts with the word velochinire. If you go 7 lines down, he proves he has a kasha. The floor is wet here. He proves he has a kasha. He proves that the Ramban is not lala. Okay? Choice. Not lala. Yes. So it looks proven. The ikar chazoko mishutakonas hakol. You will prove that the main chazoko is takonas hakol. Ikar.
I know. That's it. Ikar means this.
The ikar chazoko, really the main reason why chazoko works is takonas hakol. He doesn't deny there's no proofs. So proof is not the main. Proofs of reality. Why in the screen those are natural proofs? And he says, Ika Chazoka, that's not the reason for Chazoka. Ika Chazoka is Mishutakonis Chachom. Why? What's his proof? People have the Ktos? Good. The Lefi Mashekosav Ramban, according to the Ramban's understanding, time of the Chazoka. The reason of Chazoki is mideshosak mistova mocha. Since he was silent, most likely so. Imken is so. Tikshe. If that's true, would be a question. What's your question? Listen to Siyat and Shma. Yes, emotion. No. Stop. Any chazaka, how chazaka works. A person is in the land 3 years. How chazaka works. So he learns in the Ramban is that the reason, what? Yes, correct. Okay. The shosak, since the Morakam is shosak, 3 years, mistama mocha. I don't say 3 years, yeah, 3 years. Since he was silent, somebody eats his view, most likely so. Im Ken.
Doesn't say shota. He said he only said shota alone. The shota. He didn't say shota plus holding the shtab. Not holding it, did not hold the shtab. The only shota alone in
So let's start and let's leave this paragraph because I see there's an argument here what he learns in the Ramban. Let's go over in his words how the K'tsois defines the Ramban. On the first paragraph, the paragraph starts Ketzali Chazoko. You go from the end of the first paragraph, 2, 4, 5 lines up from the end of the first paragraph. Umevor mitvor. He quotes the Ramban and he says, it's from his words has been clarified. The ikar time of the Chazok. The main reason Chazokah mishum the shosak, because the original owner is silent. Raglaim ladovo is a leg to the things. The mistoma mochel most likely sold it to him. Or rather, the toch sholosh within 3 years, Isra is weakened. The holder has a weakness. He has a proof, but he has a weakness. Because we tell the holder, show me your document. And after 3 years, the lavrei will say, there's no anymore a deficiency ways of shtar. Why? Because naturally after 3 years, people don't guard their documents anymore. Amrinam, we say, Chazaka. Since the Morikama was silent, Vadai Mocholoi for sure he sold it to him. So how does he learn? That really the Ikatama Chazok is because the original master was silent. It's Aglan Adobo most likely sold it to him. But within 3 he has a deficiency that says, where's the shtab? Those if she goes away after 3 years. So we say, the shtika is, since he was silent on the Mochel, this is what he wants. Yeah.
Says 3 years. We're in the Rambam.
Yes.
So why 3 years? Why not 2.5? Why not 3 years?
Right, very good question. So really Chazaka should be right away. After a year, half a year. It's enough time to prove that the Morikama didn't scream, it's the guy that he sold. The guy is right away. Be a year, half, not 3 years. The 3 years is to remove a question against the proof. The Muchzak has a proof why the Morikama didn't scream in the Shosak, but we have a kasha on him. You want to come with this proof and win. We have a kasha on you. Where's your document? So when that kasha goes away, the proof is okay. But really, what is the chazak is the proof? Just we had a deficiency against it. Where's his shtab? After that go away, yes, the proof stays. What? No, the 3 years has nothing to do with the proof. The proof is before 3 years. Because the shtar, the question where's the shtar weakens the holding of the holder. How can the holder says it belongs to him? Because the original didn't scream. We have a cash on him. Okay, you bought it? Because you have a proof we were silent. Where's your document? After 3 years, he says natural people lose the stocks. He said, I really had the stock. I had the proof and I had the stock. Now after 3 years, I lost it. So let the proof be without a stock. What? Yes. People after 3 years are not careful with stuff. Nature of people. White people are that because they trust, they feel good. I told you the story that I went to Guatemala. And they have a lot of volcano mountains. And I was there that I went up to the mountain and there was still fire coming out, but the top, about the first meter or so dried out. You were able to walk on it, and some places was still heat coming out, and the guy took me to burn marshmallows on the fire, on the lava. And I was walking, I said, damn, Michiganist. If a year and a half ago, this eruption happened, and it covered cities and mountains and fields, and people died. How come I see people now are walking around and every half an hour, the whole mountain shakes and smoke is coming out? Michiganers, they're off their mind. And I answered myself like this. Now, a year and a half, or 2 years, whatever it was, 3 years, and make it nowadays, 3 years, there was no eruption. A minute ago wasn't. So after 3 years and nothing happened, what happened right now? In statistic, people go to university, they learn statistics, right? In statistics, what's the chance that me going up there with a horse, and even it starts, doesn't erupt in 1 second, start bubbling, have enough time to run, maybe it's too quick. I made all this cheshbonis in my mind. I'm crazy or I'm crazy, and I have to pay the guide even to take me on a horse. I'm sure. Yes, and I was paying. I was happy to burn the marshmallow. I couldn't eat. It wasn't kosher, but I went there to see it, and I got to understanding what is chazok is about. Yes, people feel that's nature of people that after 3 years, no complaint. They trust that silencing will continue. That's all.
What is that the price?
Same thing.
What about it?
I think it's very straightforward.
That's it.
Everyone checking this, right?
Yes.
You can't just entrust the chazaka of yesterday, the day before. The shul should not be noxious every morning.
Yes.
So the halacha of not chazaka is when I can confirm from an exterior source, I must entrust my actions upon that source. I can't just live upon my chazaka. Chazaka has no validity when I can confirm it from an external source of papers. That's why really chazaka catches in 1 minute. But I need witnesses on an unattended 3 years to base my vow to validate the chazaka. There's no Israel chazaka.
Yeah, but all what you're saying is true, but not here.
Like,
Once I know it's different. Position because you do action, you move around, so we're afraid to get. It's very easy to unfold itself, and when you use it, there's a big chance of. But
you can confirm from the exterior source. Because that is when I have no other way to confirm it, then the chalul chazak at the front. Chazak alone can do when I can confirm from the actual source of data.
no. I'm talking about now, how, according to the Mukha Yosef, how does it work? People by nature after 3 years feel that if they didn't, there was no eruption, there's no complaint, there will not be any more complaint. And they trust that. It's a statistic. Now, once if it's not chazok halachic yet. It's not a chazok halachic yet. Chachomim knew that people are they're going to rely naturally on their trust. Chazok means a trust that nothing will happen anymore. Then Chachomim gave validity and they gave him a din chazokah because to protect the people trust themselves after 3 years, not going to happen anymore. But it starts with a natural feeling. Without, you're right, the natural thing will not produce chazok. You need chachomim, like we see by tzitzis. Chachomim say no, because really they're not allowed to rely on it. But that's what the reality will lose. So in order to protect the people lose, so to protect the lekuchois, say the lekuchois, they fix a takana. According to those who learn takana, they fix takana that they have a chazok. This is the Rosh. But the Ramban says no. The Ramban says that is a doraisa proof that the original didn't screws right away. But also after 3 years, people lose the star is a natural thing. That's people lose the star. So because that's a natural thing, you don't have a question. Maybe it's not a chazok and a din chazokah, but a question, a deficiency against the raya of the Borikama being silent. You have a question as a star. After 3 years, a question weakens. Because naturally people lose a star. They're allowed to rely. It's a din chazok that they rely on it. No, that's what it's in reality that people trust themselves and act upon it. So therefore the question now goes down. But we're not talking about now Allah din, according to the Ramban. Yes.
Well, the Gemara that kaf
Yes. But that's not our answer. We go faster. The Yomor knocks out this answer. The Yomor says, Tlat ini mistayed tfelo mistayed. It's the next one. Finish that. I answered it. After 3 years, people trusted it. There's no complaints anymore. No, that could be 1 year or 2 years. Not to be 3 years. We don't know. 1 year, half a year, 1 day. That's already much shorter than 3 years. Definitely shorter than 3 years. The 3 years needed is to remove a question against the proof. Because where's your star? Once that question goes down, because people by nature lose star after 3 years. So it's not so question where's his star. He didn't come up till now. It's not come, so they lose star. So then the proof comes in. Yes. Yes. Columbia River and Washington State. Yes.
Salmon.
Right.
Pond in the Columbia River, and the little baby will come out, and they swim out to the ocean.
Right.
After X amount of time, like an eternal clock, they come back to where they were born, and they spawn little babies.
Right. And they die.
So I don't know, but whatever it is, there's an eternal clock in the fish that
Right.
nobody tells them, they never come back.
Right.
Back themselves. So it sounds like that, but it's somehow 3 years, everybody starts not to worry.
Yes, that's nature.
Maybe 2 years, maybe this guy 2 years.
Okay, it's a different question. How make shiur? Shiur Chazal, they probably followed Roy, majority.
I mean, all they wish is what
They have a limud.
they have short bottom, short wash.
Right.
Where that 3?
But you ever traveled with Waze? With Waze, the machine Waze. You know, Waze almost never makes mistakes. Almost. I would tell you, like, maybe they're off 1 or 2 minutes. The last 200 times I went. How do they know? They went to school, university, and they plugged in through statistics and have machine, and they get it right.
Get it right?
Yes. Because statistic works. You go to school, go to university, learn that. Go to the SVCT Yeshiva and you learn statistics, 3 years. It's reality. It's 3 years, it's 3 years. That's reality. Like the salmon fish. It's reality. Salmon fish, like you said. Thank you. Good.
Maybe,
Yes.
maybe that's true. Those days, we didn't have paper.
Right. Papers are expensive. That parchment. Soifer.
And like you see by, we learned to do the before they went into Gauze, taught the right starot,
Right.
you put it into kelim.
Right. From clay. Right.
Why did they put it in kelim?
To be guarded.
To be shamor.
Right.
So could be that normally people that starot maybe just wears out at this, and they don't have it anymore.
Okay. Could be. Also could be. Everything could be. Be well be. But it doesn't bother me to say that it's a nature piece. It's built on nature. Okay, let's go back to us. It's a good point. How Chachamim know exactly the time, Rabbi? But it doesn't bother me. Because they can, that's Shurim Chachamim. They follow statistic, majority. There's ways how to figure that out, and they build our halachas upon it. Okay, there was a rabbi, his name was Rabbi Yirmiyah. And if you look all over Shas, Rabbi Yirmiyah always asked Chachamim on the Shiurim. 50 amos, one leg here, one leg, they threw him out of the cemetery. But that was a shita. He had a problem with the Shiurim of Chachamim. Yes.
That he sits today and the pastor of Gan and he decides to lose him. Why? Because he before contact is the better. And he's a Sherman.
He's in between. Oh, it definitely spiritual things, but the Maise, they threw him out of the cemetery. Okay. So now we want to know the Ramban. Now we got the Ramban, how the way the Ksois defines it. Now we go to the last paragraph that we started, and we count 7 lines down again. The last paragraph in the left column in the Ksois, the Lochenir, 7 lines down. Now I'm going to go to the kasha, to the proof of the Ksois against the Ramban, which is a kasha. We have to answer the Ramban. The Ramban is a Rishon. You know everything. What does he answer? So now let's see what's the question. I'm going to prove you that the main chazok is the Kos Chachomim. What's the raya? The lefima shekosav Ramban. According to the Ramban wrote, time of the chazok need the shosak. The reason chazok is what? Because he was silent, most likely he sold it. If that's true, it's a problem. Or the kaiman on the dolitz on the pega, that we know that loch is. Dolitz on the pega, later have a chazoko, right away is chazoko. Vimto on the pega was additive if the original owner says, I brought him down as a sharecropper. Nemon is believed, like I said. And Cheskes Abba Nalamed. V'ilu gabeche chazok sholishoni. So we have chazok alto when somebody puts a basket of fruit on his shoulders, chazok right away. Yet I can break it, saying that the original owner says the perosority. It's okay. It's a sharecropper, not so. And yet v'ilu rather than chazok. If he says he's a sharecropper, he's not believed. And we say, you should have protested that he's a sharecropper. Now he has a question. If the Ramban says that the whole proof of 3 years is only silencing, that's negative. Since his shtika is a proof that he sold. If so, that's not better than from an action. When I put a basket of fruits on his shoulder, the original owner is a mice. He's doing a mice to show that he sold it to him. And yet he's believed. He needs to say he's my sharecropper. Umikol shekin also b'shtika, when there's only a proof of shtika, I should be believed to say it's a shekwa. Elo vagai, the choice concludes, must be for sure, very strong words. Elo vagai, the chazon shul takona. Chazon shul yatakona not because if it's a raya, if a gemur of Maisi can say the personality, surely raya of Shevat Tais of Shtika says those. Yeah, we don't. Must be it's a takona. There's takonas nevuah. V'aynu mishum dero chachomi. The rabbi saw the people are not careful and not after 3 years. The Sava, they think the original is not going to come to complain anymore. So the people in Guatemala, they tickle and they fix. She and Naaman, we believe the Mari is not going to scream. I'm going to believe. And the original owner lost himself by not protesting. So you can't ask, wait a second, what was the question? If on the mice I can say personality, surely it's not true. Chazok is not built on shtika. Chazok is built because people lose, want to protect it. So on the mice, I can say sharecropper. But these are the takonas chachomim. They say want to protect the buyers. We gave you a right. We gave the rights to Meharim. He didn't exercise his rights. He lost. He didn't say Gazlan or he didn't say Perosaradativ. Until then, he lost his rights. Because our main goal is to protect the home. The Kemosh Kosta Rambam. Even if he bought him for, even as a real shirkat, he has to protest. He has to announce that. He didn't announce it, he lost. This is a famous kasha rule of the Ketzois and Shalosh. So now, you brought here an answer. Let's see you answer. The Beryl gives an answer. Letaretz, I'm reading now what he wrote, the name of the Ran. Letaretz b'shiva Ramban matzati baran. The Rabbi Beryl found the Ran. Vesel shono. This is the language of the Ran Lamedem would be. The loishovik inish lahari kulahai. People don't allow the land by another person so much. People don't allow people to bid in the land such a long time, and not telling off the story that is a shekwa. So Tomeret, this means true that silence is less approved as an action of Dalit on the Pere, putting a basket of fruits. But the silence was very long silence, 3 years. And the way, as the Ramban says, of the original owners to announce was that the holder went down to the land as a sharecropper. In order in order to not lie in the end, no amount to say he bought the land. The holder. If the Morekam is silent 3 years, it's a raglaim adover that he sold. He didn't bring him down for sharecropper. Beautiful answer. So what Rebbe answer? According to this Ramban, according to this Ramban, I need to say, he's saying that true that Maisa versus Raglaim Abdoba was weaker, but Raglaim Abdoba of 3 years, that he didn't tell no one, listen, this guy's a sharecropper, that's somehow stronger than the Maisa. That's what she's saying. Good. I think Reb Shlomo also wanted to say that when we learned it, an option. But I asked him on this a question. The Ramban says by a minor, katan, or an adult, if you don't have a question on him, where's his document? The chazokah should be right away, because Raglaim Adova is a chazokah right away. Less than 3 years. Because you have the raya from the beginning. The only reason why you wait 3 years is because there's deficiency. Where's the stop? Now we reach, and now you're reforming the Ramban. That true for Chazaka is enough. Why you scream right away? Right away means a year. It means not 3 years. It means right away. But he's saying no. I need 3 years of shtika to create a Chazaka that is not a perosorality. So it's not really right away. It's right away for Xela. But for perosorality, it's only after 3 years. That's what you're saying. So a minor, that there's a chazaka right away of shtika, according to this, the me'ara will be believed to say the perosorality. A minor koton that will be after 2 years is chazaka, because loses a shtar by nature. Year and a half, 2 years, whatever it is. And the Rabban holds without the sholomatzin mishem odas marviach el mafsid, without that reason will be chazaka in 2 years. Since it doesn't have the accumulating proof of 3 years of shtika, 3 years, even after the chazaka, the morekam will be believed to say perosorality. That's what comes out. It's hard. Because then chazaka is not complete. The original owner always can say perosorality in the bayakot. When you cannot have both. I don't understand what you're saying in your words. Mawin cannot have both. We're in both. I didn't have what you said. Lo yaradeti lo imigdalta. Okay, this is what I see here. It's a problem, but it's possible. Still can say. And I'm going to say yes. Maybe yes. Maybe by a minor, the chazok will be quicker. There's no stick of 3 years. So it will be a raya of not for Xela. It's not a gazan, but for perosorality, we believe. And the Gemara says only after 3 years. That is a chazok, is not believe perosorality. But when the chazok would be 2 years for some reason, since I don't have 3 years of accumulating of shtika, we believe perosorality. That's a chidushi, but I'll come out to this answer. But let's see what I answer. People can take my books. If you have spread Aaron, get my book spread it out. Possibly. Yeah. Look in 1, 5, 155. If Yoshua, you want to cause the heat? People, if people are too hot for them, cold, it's okay for you guys. I feel a little bit sweaty. Now, mamish, then I'm starting to have. Are you freezing? No, it was winter, you win.
Right.
If you freeze it, you win. Leave it alone. It's amazing. No. Sorry, that's a problem. I'm reading now 155. By the way, this answer, my Rebbe didn't agree, but we found later on that the Gilot Yaakov says. I didn't see it inside. If Shlomo pointed out that the Gilot Yaakov quotes is Lolcha. On. Why off? You found a new way not to please you. So close it, I'd rather close it. Close it. Okay. Maybe we reopen in a few minutes. It gets too cold. Ve'ulay maybe 155 it's a square brackets. My Rebbe didn't agree to it. I don't know why. I didn't know why I didn't agree. And when the Shlomo showed me yesterday or the other day that the Gilot Yaakov also says his answer. So at least I have somebody strong that says, I didn't see the code inside, but he showed me like a note below the choice that he brings the Gilot Yaakov. After all, in those days when I was learning, all those new printing choice was not around, right? It's only late years, there being all those notes, those books with Baruch Hashem, a lot of things. But let's see what I wrote. Maybe there is the answer. The bedolet on the peire, when you put a basket on somebody's shoulders, sham and raya, there is no proof. If the original owner doesn't say that he's a sharecropper, so then the proof on the fruits, if he doesn't say that, then he shifts it to the land. I want to explain this concept. The action was on fruits. He took the fruits and he put the fruits on the person, on the holder's shoulders of the holder. So it shows that it's not mine. If it's mine, I'm not going to give it to somebody else with a free will. The fruits. So now, which means the simple eyes. If I took, once I want to say a statement and say before you ask a question. If I put the famous story of Hushim Ben Dan, why they say he gave a slap to Ace and he cut his head off? Because he was mute. Deaf, I said, I'm putting it in my ears, I said mute. And he was Stam Yut of the Gemara was also deaf. He was deaf and he couldn't hear what they were saying. And he saw a simple story. His grandfather sitting disgraced, and this guy is bothered. And the Chaim Shmulevitz says this. But all the other children, the grandchildren, why didn't feel for that? Because they started a dialogue. You get a dialogue, you get watered down. But if you look in the simple picture, disgrace, right? Simple picture, when I see the guy puts fruits on the person's shoulders, there's something wrong with the fruits. Yes, if it's yours, why are you giving it to his shoulders? Take it home. Could be a lot of options. But if it's a ganav, you don't. If he stole the fruits, you don't give him fruits. That's definitely not. So it can't be a ganav. Now wait a second. 1 second. The simple look is the fruit says the mice of the fruit says it's not a ganav on the fruits, but the holder wants to extend it, and he wants to say, talk about the first year, not after 3 years, because the Ramban says the proof is miyad. You can't. We want to extend it. That what? The holder says, no, this is a proof that I own the land. Now, not only not a robber of the fruits, I own the land. Now, the original owner, he's not fighting me about the fruits. I'm a robber, not a robber, because that's clear proof I'm not a robber. They're fighting about the land. They're shifting the noise as an inference on the land. So right, Chazaka right away. But when Veloche therefore in Kentoyen, if later on the original owner does claim on the fruits, Neman is believed. Then we stop the storm. He says, listen, that's a simple thing. True, the fruits is not mine, he's not a robber, but he's a sharecropper, and I put on his back his share. That's why he can claim that, because the original proof that Arayo and Aperos and the fruits. Rather than by the proof of Chazok that I didn't scream. I need to protest. It was not an action on the fruits. He was sitting on the ground, plowing, watering. Picking up the fruits and taking it home. Everything. That's Chazok. Chazok. Chazok is what? Chazok is using the land, and says if I don't take care of the land, and I just come to eat, we call it Shamit V'Achim. It's not a Chazok. Shamit V'Achim. He grabs fruits and he runs away. That's nothing. Not a Chazok. Chazok is he shows it the Balabait, he takes care of it. Let's continue. 1 second. Masha'enken bechaz b'mechoyer, rather than by a protest. He needs to protest. Sham yoter mireh, there looks more. Shim lo imicha, that if you didn't protest, you're looking for books where there's an extra spare for Rabbi Abramson. Here, right here. Psalm 155. 5 lines on the top. Psalm Yoiser Nira there looks more. Shimloi Micha that he didn't protest. Shemocha Akaka that he sold the land. Why? The Shanda there, he needs to worry. Shanashim Yachshivu, people would think Shemocha Akaka that he sold the land.
Why should you only one?
Afilu Shaemes, even though the truth, Loikach is not true, it's not so.
Why should you?
That since people think like that, which means if I take a picture of the simple action, he's in the land and he's eating the fruits. What does this show? He's the owner. And even if that's true, that's what people start thinking. So it needs to itch me and pinch me and hey, something is wrong. I have to say about what? I have to scream about what? About my land. The noise now is my land, not my land.
Why should the new one take care of this?
Because it's
Not take care of it. He wants the fruit.
he wants the fruits. He wants to say this. He wants to be there for many years.
Don't come from nowhere.
If he didn't protest, al kocho by definition shebeemes mocha gam kach. By definition, he also sold the land. Aval kon by here, bedol it's on the bay, and when he puts a basket of fruits on his shoulders, sheoisem ma'aseh b'peiros. He does an action on the fruits. The simple action on the fruits is the fruits of the land. The simple look is a proof on the fruits.
That's not true.
This I want to know if I'm true or not true. Therefore, he's believed. Lead on the personality. People says I'm shekra. Because he shifts us back to the real noise, to the real starting point that the fruits is about the fruits. This is shekra. However, if the fight starts starting on the land, you're a rabbi. I says, I didn't rob her. Yeah, she put my fruits on my back. Okay, I'm not a rabbi on the land. He didn't claim until now the personality just fighting on the land or not. If those by definition. Now we know that he did sell the land, if that's a subject matter. It's right away. That's a big proof that he sold the fruit. Since he sold it. Since he helped. If not the fruits, rather land. By definition, sold the land. From the fact he put on his shoulders. That's a big proof. It's right away. Rather than protesting, simple proof on the land. Even careful on the land. This is the way people perceive. When somebody sits on the land and eats the fruits, balabait, people think it's the balabait. If I need to scream about the land, is to exclude that. It's not true, it's not balabait, it's a shekram. He didn't protest. So I'm making a chiluk. What was the kasha of the Kshois Kalvachoyme? Because again, even against the Maise of the fruits of Maise, I can say the personality, surely by Shtika B'Sheva Al-Taisef, saying no, it's two different proofs. True, he is a stronger and is weaker, but there the stomach of the proof is on the fruits. So when he doesn't talk about the fruits, they fight about the land, Chazok right away. When he jumps back and the fights on the fruits, he's believed, because that's a stomach. But by the stick on the land, the simple is on the land. So that's how people look. He's a balabait. So I'm fighting. If I want to say he's not a balabait, he's a robber. He's not a balabait. I have to say the personality. After 3 years, I didn't claim it. I'm out. That's it. This is, I only wanted this. No. Yes. What do you want to say about it?
This is the explanation of the land.
This is the explanation of the Ram.
This is the proof of the land.
Yes. 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 Umoiri verabi the Moshe Hirsch, Ben Mendel Shavira Vorschläge for him. Well, he agree to that. So we're happy to hear why I'm wrong. Yes.
Because you made a feeling between the land and the fruits, and you said you have to look at that or look at that. I'll tell you, it's not true. There's a relationship between the fruit and the land, and you're excluding that relationship. You're saying it has to be that or that. Say no, the fruits represent a relationship to the land, not to the fruits are the only fruits. The fruits are a relationship to the land, defining the ownership of the land, not the fruits by themselves.
Okay, she's saying what the choice is saying, but you're not saying what I'm wrong.
Well, because
Yeah, the choice learns that because that's how it relates to land. I'm saying no, you can say it relates to the fruits, but the mice on the fruits.
only saying a possibility and not
I want to know if my possibility is wrong. My Rebbe didn't agree to my possibility.
right. So say you didn't agree to right that there's a relationship. That's the thing that
Okay, but you don't tell me why I'm wrong. So I think I'm correct.
because you're not.
Tell me stop. I'm saying Aleph is saying bet. Say Aleph. Say bet again. Say Aleph. Bet. Let's see. Aleph, base, Aleph. Let's read it.
Okay, because it's not a matter of stealing or not stealing. How you model the thing, what's happened. The thing is, if the guy puts fruit on his shoulders, it's a riot that he just sold it to him because
The fruits.
he sold the land. He sold
That's a jump.
no, it's not a jump.
It's not a jump.
Well, let me work that into
No.
because when a person sells a land, and the land is basically fruit trees, so the fruit is just part of the land. Now, when the guy sells the land with that has all the trees on it, when he makes a deal and he sells the thing, and they made the deal, they made it to sell. He says, now I just gave you the land, I just sold you my land, I got the money, and this is a gesture of nice to put the fruits on your shoulder. You got this thing, and that's why he's putting the fruits on his shoulder, because of the relationship to the fruits of the land. And Sarah
Possibility.
so it's also a possibility.
I'm not saying that. As long as I have a possibility, don't knock out the Ramban.
Because it's more
Who needs to bring a proof?
more
The choice of me. The choice knocks out the Ramban. It's not true. As long as possible, the Ramban is saying it's not a knockout. What do you want? I don't have to bring a proof. I don't need to be bimuchach. And when somebody wants to knock out the Ramban, he needs to be bimuchach, or I need to be bimuchach.
Depends on what he's saying it's swore when he's knocking out the round. Swore.
As long as I saw is a possibility, I think it's a nice possibility.
Good,
The Ramban is still in. Okay. Got it.
but
Let's continue on.
It's a mathematics kina na good kina belis a kina buffer.
Yes.
So if you say kina belis a kina na good,
Yes.
so it is one.
Right.
So a person said he's thinking of the payload, he's thinking about, is really touching the carpet. It's not only not separated.
You're mixing a box. King and Peos means when I buy fruits that attach to the tree and I own it, it's like as a goof of the garden. There's something else. There's a guy who puts me a basket of fruits on my shoulders, detached baskets, and I own, he wants to give me the value of the fruits, the usage of the fruits, the goof of the fruits. He's giving it to me. The question is, it relates to land or something. Okay. Let's continue on. More questions. The Shara Mishpot, turn the page, and the Shara Mishpot asks Akasha and Ramban. And I see also Rebel gave an answer. We gave two answers. Yes, David. Yes. The seller has to bring fruits. Yes.
the more it comes.
More coming, yes. Right. Right.
I don't bring that argument, it's for sure.
Right. But once I do bring the argument, why I'm believed to bring the argument? Because that's a subject matter. That's a logic deduction, exactly.
I mean, that I'm sure from.
No, because it's not the land, it's the fruits. That's the simple logical idea. Good. Let's see the second question. Second question is the Shana Mishpot asks. In the Shana Mishpot, if you look at Shana Mishpot, on the first column, in the right column, it's a pretty long question. This is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 lines at the top. Yes. Elovadai. Sorry, not Elovadai. Oinam kosher. However, it's hard to me. Ledivreim, what they say, Mimasnisin from the Mishnah, the Perkes Kasabat. The Mishnah of Kasabat. I see it's already 12 through 43. So we're not going to read inside the Shara Mishpat. I'm going to read inside my book. So I have more time. So we're not going to get to the main thing which I want to get to. I'm reading in 155. In my book, I quote the question in short, and I give you answers. We're going to see what you answer to the bell. Let's check out what you answer. They asked more than Ramban Mishnah, but it's page 156 and top. Shekos was written in the Mishnah. Sheyoresh inheritor lotzoich taina bechazok. He doesn't need a claim in chazok. The Gemara explains. Avol tzoich lo v'taina. He doesn't need to bring a proof. Shedaro v'yoyimechol. His father lived there one day. The father died, he held the land 1 year, and the son held 2 years. So the son was 3 years in the land. So even if he was there 3 years in the land, he has to bring a proof that his father lived in 1 day. At least 1 day. Ve'inei al kocha by definition shomari, there we deal. He never saw the document of his father. The imken, if he did see, why his family lived in 1 day? Behold, simply is believed. If he's holding the land tree, he says, believe me that I saw the document of my father, that he bought it from you, because I could have said I bought it from you and I have a chazok. So it cannot be that he needs 1 day if he's believed to say, I saw my father's document, and he has a migo on it, so he's believed. So why he needs his father 1 day? Must be in a case when he needs. Then you need the father 1 day. If we're going to say there's a chison, that's a lack. It's a deficiency. Why he didn't see the document of his father? So why 3 years helps to remove that question? Why you didn't see the document of your father? The Cheskas Gimel Shonim, the status of 3 years, is to remove the deficiency of show me your document. Come here, the Tamim Nishar here always stays. He never saw the document of his father. Or he name it, stop. She's saying, if the fact that I didn't see my father's document is a problem, why 3 years won't solve it? Even 20 years will not solve it. Why didn't see it? Or in name, but if you're going to say, I don't need to see it. An adult in the business of his father is like a minor. If so, let it be chazokah right away. Then there's no deficiency where she stop. Again, if the child doesn't need to see his father's document because he's a minor, doesn't need to know. So yes, let chazokah be right away. Cotton, because there's no deficiency, there's no answer. According to the Ramban, chazokah, the proof is right away. Why he was silent? Just against the raya, against the proof. There's a question where's he start. But by a yoresh, there's no question where's the star of his father, because he doesn't need to know if his father has a star. And if he saw, he doesn't need 3 years, be right away, or he doesn't need to dachajon. So since, must by definition, he didn't see, and if it's not a deficiency, so therefore, let it be chazok right away. That's the question. So now I answer 2 answers. But before I see my answers, let's see what you wrote here. I see you wrote also on this answer, right? Chashavti letaretz. That's how the Rebbe writes. I thought the answer. Shechachomim chosheshu le'etzer hayosh. Wow, I like that. The rabbis were worried for the loss of the inheritance. Ve'lochein tanina, therefore we claim for him. Avaloi rotzu loses loy, but they didn't want to give him more rights than a normal person. And that's what we claim for the ocean. Only after 3 years, only become. What's your answer?
You don't want to make them better than the regular people.
Good, sir.
People need 3 years. Because of free soccer.
But they can be, but let it be, but they, why we don't want them to be better than those people?
We need to help them. We're coming to their rescue.
Right.
Really, the year of the matzah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They should be right away. You hold as a deficiency.
Because at the time.
Right, so therefore.
They shouldn't win. You shouldn't get it. The free short, but then you shouldn't win. Your ratio, okay?
Why? Because where's the star of the father?
Because they don't have because they're not a timing. You have to have a timing. They're not a timing.
Oh, this is.
Yeah,
but why we don't time it for them?
We do, but we're not going to time them to make. We're only we have a time or timing on, and we're not going to do it if it's going to make them better than regular people.
Why not? If they're better, they're better. Because the Averai right away, no kasha and they where's the stars to be better. Why not? Well, what's the problem? Why not? Okay, good. Okay, no proof. That's what we answer. This is one of the answers. Okay, we found that he's showing this. Yes. Velichoira. Okay. Oh, Hashem. Velichoira. So we have the same answer. Velichoira. Apparently, Yeshitaris is the answer to Loiplu. The rabbis didn't make chilukim. Why? The behem is the law really is not a deficiency. But the fact that you see the dog of his father is not a deficiency. She really should be chazoka right away. Chazoka needs to be right away. That we make a chilukim between normal people and them. Bekoton. וכן הרמב"ן כוסף בקוטון צריך להיות חזוק לאלתר. Ramban wrote Chazoka needs to be by a minor right away. Then there's no deficiency where she document. We didn't find one who doesn't have knowledge. He can't gain, rather he has to lose. So therefore has to be like normal people. So now we have also not a real minor, a conceptual minor. An adult in his father's assets is a minor. There's no knowledge, because someone without knowledge cannot gain, you always have to lose. So at least just to be like normal people for years. Okay, so we're on the same page in the bill, right? But now I gave you a new answer. Another answer, which actually now, when we learned it yesterday or the other day, actually like my answer. I think it's a good answer. And I wrote it, I remember, I thought I'm involved in the Moya, but I wrote it, it says not to forget this spot. Maybe there is to say. Here, it's not a deficiency that he didn't see the document of his father. Or rather, the same way after 3 years, a person loses his own documents, same way after 3 years, a person loses the document of his father. What's that mean? Zotomeret, which means, right. Not the will, not the will. Talk about his papers. Lo shtar mamash, not a real document. Things that are around the document. That through this, I can find links to to find the document, my father's document. After 3 years, I lose the subject, the leads. That's why the chazon after 3 years. So when I answered, basically, I said the premise of the Shara Mishpat, the Choyer is wrong. I'm saying the word wrong. Means according to my definition, I'm saying a different premise. The Hanocha, the assumption was a minor, a Yoyesh inheritor. He doesn't know where his father's document is. He saw it, so it doesn't know. Must be he didn't see it. So if he didn't see it, so now let Chazoka be right away because why he didn't protest? I'm now the inheritor sitting in the land. The original Moreh Makamish is free. What do you want to have a cash on me? Where's my document? I don't have documents. I have inheritance document. But you ask me, where's my father's document? I don't need to see his documents. So what do you want from me? He says, no. You do need to say your document. Not that you need to go and see, but you need to have ability to bring it. And after 3 years, people lose their boydin, they lose the papers of their father, and have nowhere to bring it. Simple as that.
It's an irrelevant argument that more time was bringing. You should have brought that 3 years, 5, 10 years ago. Don't bring it up with me.
Right, now you want to bring about me, where's the document of my father? The answer is the same way a person doesn't hold his documents after 3 years, nature, right? That's one. Same thing is, a person doesn't save his father's documents only after 3 years. After 3 years, he throws them down. I remember I had here this closet. For 3 years. For 3 years, nobody knew that. I had here for 3 years the document of Mr. Nyman's apartment here in this closet. What? Where are they now? The garbage. They're in the garbage, not around. So you save papers of others of where you got it from your parents. Parents is yourself, so it's inheritance. You save it for a certain amount that you feel that trouble can come. After 3 years, trouble don't come. The same way you lose your documents after 3 years, you're for no trouble will come. Also, your father's inheritance, not the papers between you and your father. That inheritance, or sometimes you don't need papers. There's only one child or two brothers. There's no papers. Inherit automatically, you have to have. But whatever it is, we want to know your parents' documents. You save your parents' document 3 years. After 3 years, you lose your parents. So the cash falls off. Very simple answer. Yes.
The person has to keep their tax.
7 years.
Yeah.
Right after 7 years, that's the rule, but international. Yeah, he's the same thing.
Why 7?
Why? Why 7? We say 3. The nature of people is 3. The law is 7. Right, and the one protect people.
Details is speaking about 7.
What? No, by the Goyshon law, Israeli or international law, many countries, you need to hold your papers for the tax reasons for 7 years. After 7 years, you don't hold the laws. That's what they do. Anyhow, that's just, okay. Yes.
You cannot be the C80 you need stand with 80 doesn't have.
Right.
You give him his eyes around to show, but real 80, real high doesn't have.
Right.
It's missing because he doesn't have there. It was not there.
The answer is no. The answer is you can go to your father's papers.
But it doesn't, not maybe yes, maybe no.
Maybe yes, maybe no.
There's no right.
But that was his problem. Did you see your father's papers? Is it bad or not bad? Okay. Now you can say, listen, my father bought it 20 years ago. She already lost it. So I don't have to produce his papers. Same way I lose after 3 years, he lost in 3 years. But the answer is my father has no aid and he sat at 3 years. Because we had chazaka 3 years, I don't have to have the chazaka 3 years. So when we talk about Tani no yoyesh chazaka, means I produced the chazaka, he didn't. Must be he just bought it right before I got in. So therefore I can see his papers. After 3 years, I lose. Same way I lose mine, I lose his. Simple. Okay. Now bring 2 more questions on the Ramban, and then we're going to give 2 answers on new way how to look at the Rambans. Okay? 2 more questions that I'm going to ask. Why do we need witnesses for 3 complete years? Is enough for 1 eating. The Gvar also already then Yeshrai is a proof. That he need protest. If you need protest, there's a proof. That he sold. That'll bring a proof. Then the falls off. The proof. You can actually just now, so just the deficiency. Where's your document? Must speak it's enough. Just claim a positive claim. waiting. He ate 3 years without witnesses. Again, once he falls and we equal, why a time is not enough? Why I need 18 for the next 2 years, next 12 years? Ramban says the Flamet Vov, why we guard the star 3 years? From the reason that afterwards he doesn't worry, people will complain on him anymore. He should be each 3 years nicely. Even a reference to a proof, it's not that because you have a deficiency, so the raya only finishes in 3 years. The raya is right away. So he can be avalata. The Ramban is printed in the papers. We don't have the time now, at the time during the week, but we're going to go next week, this coming week. We're going to go through all the Rambans. There's 5 Rambans. Ashrei Chatu. We have here 5 Rambans. Open the papers. We'll count them to see them, to prepare them during the week. You see Aleph, you have Ramban Dafnan Days. You have another Ramban Bobasa Dafnan Ted, that's the one I'm quoting now of Dikkel 9. No, that's not Dikkel 9. Different Ramban. Dafnan Ted. Then we have another Ramban. If you turn to page Vav. Yes, you see another Ramban, Dafnan Vav. Then we have on page Chet, we have 2 more Rambans. The Flamed He, the Flamed He. One by one, you have to learn one by one. So again, in Daf Aleph, we have 2 Rambans. Aleph, we have 2 Rambans. In Daf Vav, we have 1 Ramban. That's 3. And in Daf Chet, we have 2 more Rambans. It's 5. You have to learn all those 5 Rambans. We did some of them, great. You have to do all of them. And after doing all of them, then we have to make a decision, what is the best understanding of all? You're going to read what I said here. I have 2 options, what I said. The next page to 158. And I write down that my Rebbe agreed to my second answer. Okay, he agreed. And I discussed this with him for hours and hours, going back and forth on all these 5 Rambans. Okay? So people have to put time. It's not going to come on one foot. Now we're throwing ideas. People have to put time and energy in this. And I want people to toil and work hard to stand all the 5 Rambans, back and forth, and then come to conclusion. But we're going to right now represent the 2 questions. And we're not going to give the 2 answers this week. Yes, till 158 to Shita Sarash. That will be a week later. But we're now focusing on the Ramban. Okay? This Ramban bothered many, the Gdolim of the world. Many Gdolim for years and years to figure out what we need the Ramban. To think from all 5, what do you hold? This contradiction, human diet. Yes, all 5 of them to understand what we the Ramban is holding. If you read Simple Membet, you have all those questions. You're going to see 4 questions. If you read Lamed Vav, you have to make a decision, like a puzzle, and make a way out. What's the best shot? You hear this, Yaakov? This is a challenge. If you succeed and understand it, you should dance on the table and happiness to figure it out. What is he saying? So let's see. I'm going to see. We're going to work it out for next week and see what I understood then. It was right or wrong. At least we understand that. Let's see. So the question number 1 is the choice. We gave an answer. Question number 2, we gave 2 answers. Now we have the question. I don't know who brings this question, but they ask this question. In yeshiva, when you learn in yeshiva, people ask questions. So don't remember who asked what. But that's the question they ask. Vim ken if so. For that, if we see from the Ramban and the Flamet Vav, it's not the Ramban we learned. We didn't learn it yet. But we see from the Ramban are quoting the Rambam. We have to learn it. I'm reading in my book, but I finished the parentheses. What did I bring from the parentheses? I brought a Rambam which we didn't read yet. The Rambam, I only read one. There's 5. The 5th one, and Lamed Vav, the 5th one in the paper, the Rambam there says, defines clearly, which it's against what Reb Shlomo said this morning. And let's see, the Rambam Michoel there says that the raya, the proof of the Morekame not screaming is right away, and the raya doesn't fall off from the fact that you have a question, where's my shtar? He just says the raya is right away, but still I have a proof, even though the holder has a proof. He doesn't throw away his shtar, doesn't approve. He still has to feel comfortable, nature, that naturally that 3 years he didn't come, he's not coming home. Which means a person is not going to trust alone the guy didn't scream. It's a proof, it's great. It's something you feel comfortable and good in your heart about it, but you don't trust it. You're still going to save your shtar. After 3 years, then you're going to throw the shtar. If that's the point, if the raya, so we bring a proof of the Samban, that we see l'choira like the Ketzoyt, and like the Shara Mishma, that the raya is right away. That's another chazaka. But a person still guards his shtar because he still doesn't feel comfortable enough to rely on the raya. So therefore, he now guards the shtar. So we have a question. What is the shtar? When the question falls off, he has chazaka. We have a question. So we have a question on this. What's the question? Why do I need 18 or 3 years? Later, I have 18 on 1 year. I want to heal up, and that brings me the proof. And the Morekame is already out. I have a raya. You have a question why I didn't throw the shtar? I don't trust this raya enough. But the answer why I'm not holding the shtar is enough for me to say a claim that 2 more years passed. And that's why I trust that I lost the shtar. You know, what I need being 80, that I held the land another 2 more years, another 2 achilas, and if I lost the shtar, just what a time. That's the question. And I bring here Vetzarich Iyun Gadol. And that when I was a young man, I thought it was a strong kasha. Very strong kasha.
That kasha is the Rambam's kasha?
No. Achronim is a shadow. I don't quote who he quotes it. We have to search. If you're going to see Achronim, there's his question. Maybe Reb Shimon Shkor and others. The Achronim is his question. That's a knockout to this understanding of the number. So I write in parentheses that the question is even stronger. V'chen b'gemora lekamon ikshu. Also the Gemara later on, the Gemara is binyan cheskas habat. The Gemara says by houses, beleilois, there's only 80 witnesses on the day, not at night. The Gemara answers, you bring neighbors, you bring renters. Betaina samaares, the Gemara says, if the Morekame says, I want 80, the Muksa brings witnesses that he held the land 3 years. He was in the house 3 years. But the Morekame comes back and says, listen, I want 80 at night. So the Beis Din forces the one who live in the house to search extra, to exert himself to bring witnesses at night, which normally you can't. Night people go to sleep. So you have to bring neighbors, or you have to bring people that you rented to. And somebody showing him says, even if I tell the neighbors, maybe I saw after you slept and you closed the lights, you ran out, so you're not going to have a chazaka. Which means there's a way even, so that's what he says. Ayan Shom, Shegam can kosher, also that's a hard thing. Why do I need 80 for that? I have the Ikaraya that didn't scream I have, because I'm turning it down here in the house, you should have screamed. So I need 3 years. Also the nights, for what? To not have a question on me, where's my shtar? Why do I need 80 for that? Let me just claim that I was there. It's enough to knock you out. Just a time. The Aila come on to it later on, I instance. So what? Also.
You don't have knives.
No. When you talk about chazaka is, if I eat the land 1 time, it's chazaka or not? A proof. If we learn the chazaka is a proof. I eat the land 1 year. 1 achila, it's a proof or not a proof? Proof. Also here, I sit in your house 3 years during the day. You should have screamed, or 2 years, 1 year, you should have screamed. It's a liar. You have a problem where I was at night. It's like here, you have a problem, 3 years complete, or where I'm night, 3 years complete at night, in order to be lose the star. I said, no, for me a tiny, why didn't you bring 80 man down? That's the question. It's the same concept. Because that's what the Ramban says. The raya is enough. Ramban also nothing else says. The raya is enough. The fact I'm eating your land, even one achila, you should have screamed. Your silence approves mine.
So he's comparing it to plowing.
Kind of. Third, fourth question. Ikshol Ramban. The fourth question they ask in the Ramban. Matua begoidos. Why by sheep? Yes, chazok shekim shoni. Why by sheep is chazok of 3 years? Are goidos. Behold, on the sheep sign and reusa shel shtar. There's no deficiency of a document by sheep. Dan the inanimate, movable things. And shtar, there's no document. You don't write documents on sheep. The incarnate so she chazok be right away. The arai is through the proof. So we can put this. So here we have a beautiful case of goidos of sheep. That the law is, since goidos move around, there's no chazok right away of metaltali. You need to have 3 years. But he's saying why? The fact I'm holding it, you shouldn't scream right away. It's an eye. There's no star on this because of right away.
But still, you need such shiko. You still need time to for 3 years. And I'm going with always 3 years.
I think this question now is not even a question as I said yesterday. And I'm thinking again, and I think it's really true. There's a mixing of boxes. This question is definitely not a question. Why? Because the chazok of 3 years of metaltalim, we saw in Kashmur, by the way, if you still remember, Kashmur brought this, and Cheskas Tashmishi, or by Rabbi Shmuel, that he learned chazok of Kaka was like metaltalim. There, the 3 years, we brought a Rashi, remember we brought a Rashi of going to us, why need 3 years, let it be less, mitzadarai, we brought a Rashi, well, Kashmur was on that, remember? You guys remember? So there we said, no, it's a different chazok. Really, after 3 years, you become a muchzak metaltalim. It's not chazok of Kaka. A chazok of Kaka, the Kashmur learns that is a raya to the taina. Here, by tzoin, after 3 years, you become chazok of the muchzak of the metaltalim. Just after 3 years, not because of shtar. You have a raya to your taina, and after 3 years, there's no kasha in the shtar. That's the world of Kaka. Cheskas tzoin after 3 years, just the first right away, you don't have chazok, you come out of the soil because it moves around. But after 3 years, remember? Right, and because one have two pshatim in this, so I don't see Bechlar as a kasha. Okay. But I wrote here a different answer.
Again, because what was what?
Go 3, the number is the same, but the type of chazok is different. It deceives you. Chazok of God is 3 years, it's 3 years, but it's nothing new. It's not chazok of karka. It's chazok of muchzokos, of really holy, of tfisa. That's all chloim I need to say, I'll call my definition. But no clue, this word. The Rishonim, which they make a list of Beisabad, Shovachot, we talk about birds. Birds is chazok of tfisa. Birds that move around. This is like plug. Takona. And this part, why 3 years? When is I do ice? But when Chacham had to jump in, and the way plug they jump in. It doesn't mean the whole thing is takona. The yesh letar it's a kushyo. Madot tzechel Yerushalayim rakimezah. I give him 2 esveri. If I have the time, I have some time. We'll read the first answer. The ayin k'tzoitz. Look in the k'tzoitz. Siman kuf mem sifkot and beis. Sheshan isbir, they explain the Ramban svirale, the Ramban holds the Yeshraya alta. The Ramban holds as a proof right away. Miseshlo ikpi, from the fact he wasn't careful. Rakareusa, the wickedness shall shtar. So then the question comes up. Then we have a kasha. But the name we're going to say a different shot. Sharp shot, beglal hareus shel hashtar, This is what we said this morning. Because of the deficiency of the document, that's why a person doesn't protest right away. The mechoy miyad, the fact that he didn't protest right away, there was only legs. Legs, the lulav is without the weakness, without the deficiency of where's the shtam. Because of the deficiency, where's the document? That's why it doesn't protest right away. Because you know that you can protest after some time. Because the proof where was the document? If he protests, so I can't give a shot. It's entire 3 years. The odds then in regards his time. Mashaken the cotton rather than by a minor, then there's no deficiency where's the shtam. So you need to protest right away. Nitam because you cannot see something holding your land. For us, then it's what I mean, it's very simple. I'm saying the proof changes. The proof changes. By an adult, the fact that the Morekama didn't scream is an eye right away. But it's only Raglayim Ladovo. Against Raglayim Ladovo, I have a Reyus, where's the shtab? So therefore, it turns it to become weak. The proof is weakened. Because although I have a natural reason to scream, but I also know I can procrastinate, delay the complaint, because there's a question against it. Where's the shtab? So I'm not going to lose by me not screaming. Naturally, I need to scream. So I didn't use my nature to question. It's only like I'm not over. But against it, I can give a reason why, because I know we call it deadline. My deadline is till 3 years. But by a minor, the deadline is right now. So then the raya is all complete right now. That's why the Ramban holds the raya is now. But really, if I ask you, the raya is right away on after 3 years. After 3 years. It starts by a natural peak. Boom, I need to screw right away. That's how it starts, because of nature. But really, in reality, the proof is not complete because I can procrastinate, I can delay it till the end of the 3 years. Because he has a question, where's the stop? So therefore, I can delay, I have some time. He's not going to win with this proof. So true is a question on me. I should have, but I didn't. And I delayed. I don't have some time to delay. So therefore, in reality, the proof is only an end of the 3 years. What's the kasha against this? You can't say that's Pshat Ramban, that the raya only finishes after 3 years in reality. Because why by a minor? But the Ramban says there's no question to start the raya right away. The answer is because by a minor, I don't have the procrastinate, I don't have the delay. Because he doesn't have a kasha in the stop. So it turns to not a guy with the raya gemura right away. That's what the Ramban wants to say. Well, again, the whole thing would mix us up. Where was the story that the Sois HaChoshen and the Shara Mishpat understood that the guy is right away? Because the Ramban says like this. By Kotan, the Ramban says the guy is right away. Like I'm not going to use the word. Very weird. It's not losing the shtar alone. Rather, the Tay Chazok is the fact that was silent. Is the guy not double. He says the guy not double. But within 3 years, you have a question with the shtar. After 3 years, there's no rabbi. By a kotam, there's always going to be right away. He cannot gain because of that. So from those two parts, it forced the choice of saying that since by a mind he wants to have chazok right away, needs the raya. The guy not double doesn't. The guy not double needs the raya. This is no, you made a mistake. Raglayim not double by a double because against the raya, you have a shtar where it's a struggle. But by a minor, there is no chashtacho. It's not an adult, it's a high gemur right away. But really, by an adult, when you have the raya of chazaka, only under 3 years. La 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 la. I write down here in the end in the brackets. In the language of Ramban is not so proven, it's not mashma. But I write down something important. Oil on my Yosef Shloim is not here, brother. Rav Shlomo not here because he said it this morning. And I asked him about a koton, and he couldn't get out of it. So I had this little piece. But I write down, this is the world of the yeshivas, Mazarama, which means a lot of Rosh Yeshivas in my generation, still around, they all explain that's Pshat Rambam. Because of all those questions, they say that's a Pshat Rambam. And then I have a new Pshat. And I said, but the language doesn't fit. And the Rashba is Mucha, that's like the Rashba. But they say Pshat Rambam is very hard. So then I come with a new answer. What do you want to say about it?
Maybe the word Raglayim Ladova indicates that it's weak, and then finally, when it's strengthened, it's just the Raglayim that are strengthened down. But really, it's not that the Chazaka happens at the end.
No, it starts right now.
No, it happens at the beginning, and you just straighten up the legs at the end. And it's not that there's.
But one second, then Afkin will be a minor which is only like Raglayim Ladova. So it's enough for a minor to have chazok on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, how? If it's only like line, it has to be stronger line. Whatever you want to say has to be.
He doesn't need.
Why doesn't he? It's the same raya. Didn't scream, silent. So that's why I didn't say like. I said, really, it's a raya that gets knocked out because I have the permission to I can't say the word crest. To delay. So therefore, I have a delay in English. I can delay it later on. So therefore, that's the reason of weakness. But when the minor you have that weakness, it's enough of a raya, which means you can define Raglayim Ladova as enough of a raya. Because otherwise, by a cotton, why should it be a raya? That's my problem. To say there's not strong legs later on, that such type of legs is enough for chazok. That's only one option. Doesn't fit the words. We're going to learn all the Ramban show what's really fits or not fit. We see the fourth answer that my Rebbe agreed. Pshat in the Rambam. Okay? Now we're going to do this coming week, B'ezrat Hashem. We're going to finish the Shara Mishpot with his questions back and forth. Then we're going to go over the 5 Rambans, we'll prepare them. I want people to sweat. That means to realize, he said, to work it out and to figure out what's with the Pshat in the Rambam. Yes. There's a famous Chassam Sofer that everybody brings it down. Everybody brings down this Chassam Sofer. The Rabbi Zimmerman Zichron Livrocha, I'm keeping this. Okay? I want to see what you said. Yeah, for over the Rashbam. I want to see that. Okay. There's a famous Chassam Sofer that brings down. Rabbi Zimmerman brings it down, and he brings down. It's also in the calendars, I saw it many times. Very important Chassam Sofer. And he says that Chanukah and Purim are really a dorais. To announce the nisim and the flois of Hashem. It's a doraisa. When the Torah tells us put on tefillin, put a mezuzah, do Leila Seder, Pesach, Sukkot, Shavuos, Shabbos, Kiddush, Zeicher Yetzias Mitzrayim. Remember the Yetzias Mitzrayim. Chol HaMoed, Tefillin, Shabbos, Mezuzah, Tzitzis. Everything is Zeicher Yetzias Mitzrayim. What does it mean, Leman Tiskoyos Etzarem Mitzrayim? Do you remember you went out of Egypt? What does that mean? So the Ramban, it's the Ramban also, learning Ramban. But the Chassam Sofer brings it down, brings the Ramban. And he learns that the meaning of the mitzvah is that when a person has miracles of his life, I'm alive. And there's problems, and he's safe from problems. He has Yeshua, and Nisim Niflois. And without problems, he has great things, and he sees the Niflois of the miracles of more good things and more good things. He has an obligation to praise Hashem. And therefore the Chassam Sofer says that Chanukah and Purim are dorais. If someone listen, Chanukah is the Rabbanon. But that's a big kiddush of the Chassam Sofer. But listen, I'm trying to explain. You have to have a little bit more patience with Hashem and Chaim Dov. Okay. But when you don't have patience for yourself, but it bothers others. So that's good. So now the point is like this. The Chassam Sofer says that the fact, if somebody will stay all Hanukkah and all Purim, will not do any action to remind himself or any action that he praises Hashem, and the Nisi praise that happened to the Jewish people in those times, is over, he cancels the mitzvah of to remember Yetzias Mitzrayim. And when you do light the candles, you mekayim in it or do some ma'aseh to remember Nisi, you mekayim the mitzvah d'oraisa of memorizing the Nisi, which is said by Yetzias Mitzrayim. It's a famous Chassam Sofer. Yes, the Torah told us in Yetzias Mitzrayim to remember. So really, where it comes from? It comes from the Rabbi Zimmerman in his book Agan Asar. He says the makoyer of all this is the Rashba. He found the Rashba. The Rashba says there's a machloikes between Chachomim and Ben Zoyma. Do we say Yetzias Mitzrayim at night? Right? So Chachomim say we don't say. Ben Zoyma says we say Yetzias Mitzrayim at night. Leman Tisker Shel Tzachom Eretz Mitzrayim Kol Yemei Chayecha. All the days of your life. Yemei Chayecha Hayamim means the day. Kol Yemei Chayecha is not Elois. But Ben Zoyma said no. That looks like Ben Zoyma. Yemei Chayecha Hayamim en Elois. Kol Yemei Chayecha, no, Yomi. Kol Yemei Chayecha is the Moisa Mashiach in the future. The Moisa Mashiach. So the Gemara brings down Yirmiyahu Novi. So wait a second. It says down in Inei Yomoyim Hashem, days will come, Yirmiyahu Novi prophets. Velo Yahameh, people are not going to say anymore, Hashem that took us out of Egypt. They're going to say, Hashem took me out of Holland, out of France, out of America, out of South America, Mexico, who knows where, Canada, and it's Israel. He took me out of who knows where, my problems. So how come Ben Zoyma says that in Moshe Mashiach we're not going to remember Yetzias Mitzrayim? So the Gemara says, Iker and Tocha. The Iker will be to memorize the miracles of the day. Tofel minor is to remember Yetzias Mitzrayim. Right? So now the Rashba was asked, but it says Leman Yibuya Meichem. It says Leman. And he answers, whatever he has, a very long tshuva against the meaning, apikosim, that here the Gemara says, Allah, and in Moshe Mashiach, you're not going to mention Yetzias Mitzrayim. So it means the mitzvahs will be canceled. We're not going to do Pesach. We're going to put on Tefillin. Here it is, Chaim Dov. We're not put because you don't have to remember Yetzias Mitzrayim and Moshe Mashiach. You have to remember more because it cancels all those mitzvahs. That's what the meaning is, and he has a long tshuva, fire and brimstone against it. The man means the concept. Really, Yetzias Mitzrayim doesn't mean Yetzias Mitzrayim. Yetzias Mitzrayim is only a kli to praise Hashem. And he goes on length to prove that. Yes, Shvach Hashem. So from this Rashba, Rabbi Zimmerman brings a right to the Chassam Sofer. That really, and that's the halacha, that really, Yetzias Mitzrayim is not the Ma'oil, it's not the story. Yetzias Mitzrayim is the result of the miracles that Hashem did for us, and we have praised Hashem. I don't think I said now the order right what Chacham and Azai are saying, but that's the Maschona second one. So what's the message for us? So that's what I'm saying. The message is that we're now reading all the parashas of Yetzias Mitzrayim. We read the 10 plagues. Now we read coming out of Egypt, spring the Red Sea, the songs of Az Yoshim, and now they're going out to the desert. Yetzias Mitzrayim, accepting the Torah. This is our parashas we do. But what is the message of all that? It's not the Moira. It's not the story. It is the message for ourselves and every day of our lives, the miracles that Hashem is doing for us. And that's really mitzvah d'oraisa. And I saw a Gemara last time we read in the Gemara The Gemara in Brochus, I think that's off. And I saw the Baal HaTanya as a new understanding in this Gemara, which I like very much. The Baal HaTanya says, the Gemara says a little bit different than the Rebbe, but almost the same. The Gemara says, Tachlis Chochma, the goal of Chochma is Tshuva Ma'asim Tovim. If you learn Chochma and doesn't bring you to do, just wisdom, and not to do means Ma'asim Tovim, Tshuva, not thinking about your life, reality. So then, if you're not going to say that's the goal of Chochma, not, you're going to kick your Rebbe and your father and mother. So the Rebbe used to ask, my father said, what do you mean? I'm not going to do tshuva myself through Torah, I'm going to kick my father, my Rebbe? He said, yes. Because the nature of a child is to grow up, to have his own independency. The nature of a talmid, after a while, is to say his own chidushim, to grow up, whatever it is, to have independency. And being under the Rebbe is a contradiction. He feels, if he doesn't have a shamayim, and he didn't get the goal of Torah, is to praise Hashem and to see every Torah he learns, it's just more Torah in the world, it's nothing to do me and him. But if he does have that, he didn't get the message, the internal message of Torah, so we'll kick his parents and his father. We'll kick for the sake of his own growth. This is the Rebbe's explanation. The Baal HaTanya we saw yesterday, they say the same thing. That learning Torah, all we learning has to relate to me. It's not a history or once a year, it needs to change me. If I'm not learning Torah for the fact that I'm becoming a better Jew, of action, of Yerushalayim, of Ma'asim Tovim, so it's against all the tachlis of the Torah, it's all this of Torah. So here we have a Rashba that gives us a very big yesod in the tachlis of all the mitzvahs around Yetzias Mitzrayim, which one of the major things in the Torah is you have tefillin, tzitzis, Shabbos, mezuzah, right? All the holidays, so many mitzvahs, Kiddush on Shabbos, Yetzias Mitzrayim, Yetzias Mitzrayim says the most fundamental thing. And when we explain about Musa, because Hashem so he control the world, but it's not only a reminder there, it's a reminder for your life. Chanukah, Purim, your life, your days, Moishe Mashiach. If you don't feel, if the Torah doesn't make you to think about your greatness of the greatness of goodness of Hashem in your life, personally, you didn't do the tachlis of Torah. This is what I want to add. This is the point. If the Torah, what you're learning, even the Geshmoel, even Rambam, even questioning, if it doesn't bring you to think about what? The such wisdom of Hashem, greatness that I see, the goodness and the greatness of Hashem, it doesn't bring me to change, to think about myself, and to connect on my personal self. My relation with Hashem, so I'm out of the box. I'm not a yeshiva book, I'm not a Diaspora Yeshiva student. I'm not a tachlis chochma, the shuma ma'asim tovim. This is the message we have to get in our parshas. And you have to think to yourself, why this doesn't relate to me? The answer is yes. The Gemara says it. In the days of Mashiach, Yetzias Mitzrayim will be minor, won't be relating to someone. Because we have such major miracles in our life that won't talk to us. That history is too far away. But the Torah doesn't change. This is the Torah. There's all things just to get you to connect to Hashem. This is a tachlis of Chochmah. It's not two things. That was the Rashi was screaming. Nothing will change. We're still going to eat more. We're still going to eat. I see it at the time. You see, to remind ourselves that I'm connected to Hashem. The other day, last Friday, I said, I think in public, a guy walked in here. His name was, maybe you remember him, Tripp. I have his Howard Riff. That's his name. Riff. He was here in 1973 for a month and a half. Says, I remember he walks in, he walks around. I see he's looking at something. So he comes over and says, hey, well, you want something? He says, are you Rabbi Goldstein's son? I says, yes. He says, I was here in 1973. He was here a month and a half in Yeshiva. Month and a half. Okay. After a month and a half, he decided it was a Yom Kippur war. Let's go to kibbutz. So he told me, everybody in Yeshiva, Preston, don't go. You have to stay and pray for God. He says, no, I want to help. He says, real reason was father reasons. And he says, the hardest thing was when he was on the bus to take off his yarmulke and his tzitzis. That was the hardest thing.
What did you say his real reason was?
Think, understand yourself. What do you have in kibbutzim?
What is father says?
No, I just said, he said he wants to go help the Jewish people in the kibbutzim. Okay, everybody knows the real reason. I have to explain why. What do you have in the kibbutzim? You pick up oranges? Maybe? I don't know. That's right. Lamas food. Chazar of the land. That's what he said. I want to help the land. Chazar of the land. Great. Yeah, that is true, Maxo, but he knew himself. Anyhow, what I want to say is the point is 50 years later. 50 years later, it still bothered him. He says, I want to connect to Hashem. I know I'm not wearing a kippah. I already have grandchildren. I'm married to a girl from Anagua, whatever it is, a whole history. And I remind myself, when I see my grandchild, I remind myself I'm old. So what I told him, and when I told him, he stood up and he shook and he shook his hand. And I saw that the words are penetrating his soul. Mamash. I told him the Yesoid here. I said, do you have tefillin? He says, yes. He says, don't wear tefillin. Tefillin should only be a means that 2 minutes a day, do meditation, say Shema Yisrael, after meditate, your connection to Hashem for the rest of the day. So that's what we need to do. We have to do actions. If you don't put on tefillin, karkafta d'lomach is a poisha Yisrael. You want to be a poisha Yisrael? Okay, you have to wear tefillin. So do that, and that will build your connection to Hashem. And that's really true. It's not about shuv, a guy from the state, all that. That's real true. Tachlis chokhmah is the connection to Hashem. If you wear tefillin and you don't think about your meshabed, the Shulchan Aruch said, what have to think when you wear tefillin? It's not Kabbalah. The Shulchan Aruch, Eliyahu, what the Rebbe Eliyahu, what the Shulchan Aruch says when we put on tefillin. You know what? You read the Shulchan Aruch? No! He says you have to meshabed your mind to Hashem, and you have to meshabed your heart, your desires to Hashem. That's it. If you're not focusing, then that's what it does. So that's not tefillin. That's the essence of tefillin. This is the tachlis chokhmah shul ma'asim tovim. It's very serious. Hashem should give us a bracha to pick up the yesoid, the tachlis of chokhmah shul ma'asim tovim, and act for ourselves. And once for ourselves, we go on and spread to our family and kids and Talmid and everybody else. Shabbos. All Sachen spoken, the Sachen to the people. It was a Shema. I don't know what's the man, she's trying to go over here. It's not a Shema. No one say, we are pleased not to say. I call you in the corner, the whole place is going. Take another one for the yes. Buena.